In my humble opinion, one of the single most effective activists, authors, awakeners of humanity on a surprisingly broad variety of topics, but particularly on the environment, in my lifetime, has been and is Bill McKibben, the environmentalist, the founder of 350.org, and he's got a couple of new projects out, and I'm so pleased and honored to have Bill McKibben back on the program with us. His new book, Oil and Honey, The Education of an Unlikely Activist, and his new movie, Do the Math, which debuts next week. We are going to play the trailer for it during the break after Bill and I finish our conversation. I don't want it to cut into our time together. Bill McKibben, welcome back to the program.
Good to be with you, brother. How are you?
I am fine. It's great to have you with us. We've obviously, you've been on this program a lot of times over the years. In fact, even as I recall, before 350.org got rolling or got to what it is now. Tell us, first of all, about, your choice, Oil and Honey or Do the Math. I want to cover both of them.
Well, let me tell you the really important thing, which is that on Saturday around the country, we're having about 215 demonstrations in all 50 states to, as we're saying, draw the line against the Keystone Pipeline. This will be the next big day of action across the country. I'm going to be in Seattle while it's going on, and it's going to be great. People can go to 350.org and find out just where they need to be. Great.
Okay, and that's Saturday, a National Day of Action. Super.
Draw the line.
So Oil and Honey, I can't say I've read it from cover to cover. I have read a fair amount of it. This is a beautiful autobiography about basically the subtitle tells it, The Education of an Unlikely Activist. What provoked you to write this?
Well, look, partly it's that I was spending too much time on the road and really missing home in Vermont, something you would understand, having spent some time in the Green Mountain State.
Yeah, I lived there a decade. It's a beautiful state.
It's a good place. And so I wanted to write about the amazing local things that were going on there. And the vehicle that I used was a wonderful neighbor of mine, Kirk Webster, the first big chemical-free apiarist in the country, beekeeper. He has extraordinarily healthy beehives, even in the midst of the plague against bees that's overtaking the country. And it was a good way to write about this renewed local agriculture and economy and everything else. It was really beautiful, and it was really fun to be out a lot in the bee yards and things. Of course, it also was a very good reminder that you can't deal with things just on a local level. Vermont really learned that 2 years ago this month when Hurricane Irene came roaring up the east coast of the U.S. and passed over record warm water off New York and New Jersey, and then just dropped rain of a completely unprecedented amount on Vermont before it was over. As you know, half the state had washed away, including a lot of those beautiful organic farms that people had spent the last 2 decades building. So it was a real reminder that why we do the work we do at places like 350.org, that we cannot solve this problem just locally. We certainly can't solve it just by changing our light bulbs. We do need to come together also on a national and a global basis to demand real structural shifts, or else we're going to live in a place with the temperature remarkably similar to hell, I fear.
Yeah. Do the Math is debuting this, it's about an hour-long video that you have put together, tell me about the company that put it together, but it features you, and it's going to debut on the 22nd on Al Jazeera. Do I have that right?
I think that's right. It's a kind of broadcast a film of this evening that we put together and took to 27 cities in 28 days or something in November and December last year around the country, that launched this campaign for the divestment of fossil fuel stock, a campaign that now has already, even in these early days, succeeded in 15 big cities: Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Providence, convinced 6 or 7 colleges already to divest, and fight is underway at 380 more. Even some of our big religious denominations are divesting. The United Church of Christ did it this summer. So, this is we play defense against things like the Keystone Pipeline, but we like to play offense against the fossil fuel industry too, to put them on the back foot and knock them off balance.
Yeah, and it's a fine thing. And as I said, we'll play the trailer to this when we're finished. The Financial Times. I just pulled up the Financial Times, and this article went up just apparently about an hour ago. So presumably it'll be on the front page tomorrow. It's above the fold right now on the website. And the headline is, Arctic sea ice melting faster than expected. And let me just read you a single sentence, which is a standalone paragraph. It's the fourth paragraph in the article, so they really front-loaded this. But it is worrying for scientists because of what was described in a recent study as an economic time bomb that could explode if the melting Arctic permafrost releases vast plumes of methane, a potent greenhouse gas, and drives significant climate change. Thoughts?
What do you know? I mean, yes, look, the Arctic is melting very fast, and that's bad news in and of itself. It's never a good sign when you take one of the 5 or 6 largest physical features on Earth and you break it. But it also comes with other vicious after effects. Not only does a blue ocean now trap a lot more heat than that white ice used to reflect, but yeah, it could liberate large quantities of methane, and if it started to, we'd have no real recourse. We don't have our hand on the methane thermostat. If we wanted to, we could still turn down the carbon in the atmosphere and keep the temperature from getting much higher, but that'll take courageous political action.
Yeah.
First test for the president, the way we'll find out if he's actually, whose side he's on this fight, will be when he makes the decision on this Keystone Pipeline.
Go ahead.
No, it's, we've been talking about it for 2 years. At first people thought there was no chance, but now there's a chance, and so the pressure's on. If he does the right thing, then he's the first world leader to have stopped a big project because of its effect on the climate. Yeah. If he does the wrong thing, then on climate, he's a fraud.
I'm curious if you saw that BBC documentary from a few years back where they deconstructed the Permian mass extinction and tied it back to a methane burp when the ocean was warmed up enough.
Yeah. Look, you know what? I do my best not to scare myself unnecessarily. We've got enough problems just with the day-to-day. I mean, look what happened in Colorado over the weekend. There's a serious disaster caused by a changing climate that's here in front of us already, and precisely the kind of thing that should be moving us to take action fast.
Right.
This is, the amount of damage it causes, the amount of heartache and angst it produces, they're almost incalculable, and we're just doing nothing at the moment. Yeah. So it's really, last year the federal government spent more money responding to Sandy and to the drought in the Midwest than they spent on education. We've really reached the point where time to do something.
Wow, that is absolutely extraordinary. If you are interested and you would like, I've got about a 10-minute cut down of that BBC hour-long documentary.
I'll look forward to seeing it. Please send it to me.
I will send it to you. I'll ask Sean to get the email that you'd like it sent to. Bill McKibben, 350.org. The movie's coming out next week and on Al Jazeera, and you can learn all about it over at 350.org. And the book, Oil and Honey. Bill, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks much, Tom. Take care.